Hi, Kevin Wright here, and I'm back with another property finance tip video. And this week, what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about why property has two advantages that are pretty much unique to it when you compare it with any other type of asset class. So if you want to find out why property is a standout investment, keep watching. Okay, so what is it about property that makes it so different? Now let's just say you've got £100,000 in the bank, and you can choose anything really you want to invest it on. You can invest it in crypto, or you can invest it in classic cars, or jewelry, or watches, or any other type of thing. Shares, stock market, whether you buy individual shares or whether you buy funds. Run by fund managers. You can invest in there's a whole lot of different ways to invest your money.
Hey, have you subscribed yet? Click that subscribe button down there and that dingy belly thing so you don't miss any of my videos when they're released, which is every week. Great, thanks. I almost forgot, Instagram. Click that button too. Look, it's down there. Thanks.
Now, I'm not going to argue against a balanced portfolio of investments, but I'm going to highlight the two big advantages that property have that no other investment has in quite the same way. And let's look at the first one. The first one is leverage. So what do I mean by leverage? The ability to borrow based on the asset that you're going to buy in excess of the cash you're putting into it. Now, if you're going to buy £100,000 of shares in any way that you want to do that, that's all you get. You get £100,000 for the shares. No one's going to say to you, hey, I tell you what, for your 100,000, I'll give you another £100,000 to buy £200,000 a share, because shares aren't a security. They're not classified as a bankable security. Why? Because of the volatility. Same with cryptocurrency, and I'm not knocking cryptocurrency, and we're not knocking shares. I'm just pointing out that property has an advantage over those. So how would that leverage play out? Well, again, if you bought, let's say, £100,000 of shares, your return is going to be based on the performance of those £100,000 shares. So if it makes 10%, you get £10,000. So you now got £110,000 of your investment. So your investment is now the original £100,000 plus the 10% growth. It's now grown to £110,000. How is property different? With property, you're allowed to put your £100,000 down and borrow additional money in the form of a mortgage. Now, if you're investing in property, it's likely to be a buy-to-let mortgage. Could be other types of mortgage, but let's say it's a buy-to-let mortgage. So 100,000 deposit can equal 25%, which means that you can get a 300,000 75% mortgage. 100 plus 300 is 400, of course. So now your 100,000 investment allows you to buy a £400,000 property. There's no way that £100,000 cash can buy you £400,000 of shares, for example. So there's the uniqueness about property, which means that property allows you to benefit from the capital growth of £400,000 for your 100,000 investment, not 100,000. So take the 10% capital growth, the same thing as we said. Now, if your 400,000 property grows by 10%, it's grown by 40,000, not 10,000 as it was in shares. It's grown by 40,000. So your 100,000 is now worth not 110, but 140, even though you invested the same amount of money. And this is the power of leverage. Now, you could say, well, I'm also getting a dividend on that in the way, yes, some shares pay a dividend, some don't. But you're going to get a dividend, if you like, because you're going to get rental income. So you're going to get a rent over mortgage payment profit for every month in the year that you rent the property out. Now, of course, you might have a void here and there, but predominantly your property is going to stay rented out.
Hey, do you know I run in-person one-day events called Buy, Refurb, Refinance Summits, 2 great speakers, plus me, for a full day in a city near you. Look at the link below to see when the next one is for you.
So leverage is pretty much unique to property compared to any other way that you can invest your money. What's the other advantage? Well, it's a mitigated downside risk. So even in a recession, even in a property crash, your property is not going to lose all its value. Okay, it may lose 10%, 20%, maybe even 30%, but it's not going to lose 80 or 90% of its value before it bounces back up. Other investments can. I'll just give you one example. Back in the credit crunch of 2008, 2009, that big institution, Lloyds Bank, over a short period of time, lost 95% of the value of its shares. Okay, it took a few years and it's bounced back up again then. It lost 95% of its value. So however bad the property market gets, your property is never going to lose 95% of its value or anything near that. So there is a risk mitigation on investing in property that doesn't exist in quite the same way with other investments. So other investments have greater volatility. And even if you say, well, I can find an investment that has a similar lack of volatility, you still haven't got the leverage which you have with property to buy 4 times as much as it's worth. So those are 2 big reasons that make property a unique investment. Property's not for everyone, I granted that, and maybe you should diversify and do some property and some other stuff as well. Not saying you shouldn't.
Hey, have you subscribed yet? If not, click the button there. Oh, and that dingy belly thing there so you don't miss a new video every time I release one. Thank you. And follow me on Instagram too. There's the button down there. Thank you.
But this week I just wanted to highlight those 2 unique features about property. So I'll be back with another property finance tip next week. And in the meantime, hang around, just want to show you this.
If you enjoyed watching this video, did you know every Monday morning at 8:30, I do a live Facebook Q&A. So if you want to start the week with checking out some answers to your property finance questions, click the link here.